Hey, good morning. This is Pastor Jason. I want to take a few minutes to talk about our exciting change for our leadership structure and how that's going to be looking. And we're going to be voting on that at our special called Charge Conference, which will happen on January 28th. So what will happen is we will dissolve our current leadership structure. We will dissolve trustees committee. We will dissolve finance committee. We will dissolve staff parish committee, and we will dissolve our current ad council. This is all allowable by the book of discipline. Then what we'll do is we'll form a leadership team. That leadership team will be made up of 3 members of staff parish, 3 members of finance, 3 members of trustees, our lay leader, who will serve on one of those because they already serve on those committees, and the pastors. That leadership team will then meet quarterly, and they will do all of the business of those 4 committees all at once. And so you can see that that does a really good job of facilitating a much better line of communication. It will allow us to get information out to the congregation better. It will streamline our process, and especially in this time of transition, this exciting time with the possibility of a new building, it allows us to make decisions that need to be made and talk through those decisions in a much better way. We will also then be forming what we call our ministry team. That ministry team will meet monthly or bi-monthly, and it will encompass all of our current ministry areas. So hospitality will be our cafe, our fellowship time, whether that's fellowship carry-ins or our Sunday fellowship that we have each Sunday, our secret sisters, and then the overall experience that someone has when they come to worship with us, especially as we're moving into a new building, that will be vital. Or the possibility of moving into a new building, that will be vital. How do people experience worship at Rochester Trinity United Methodist Church? Our worship team will take care of planning, special services, acolytes during worship, and the new prayer team that we're forming. So all the aspects of worship, choir, those type of things, that will fall under worship. Faith development will be all of our Christian education. So Sunday school, small groups, Bible studies, youth, children's ministries, all those things, they will all fall under our faith development. Mission and service. Mission and service will encompass a lot of areas, but they're areas that all need to be together, and they're not something that happens all the time. So it will take care of funeral dinners, which again is done by our UMW, but UMW will be a part of that mission and service team. Funeral flowers, taking care of shut-ins, which pastors visit, but other people visit as well, will be a part of that. Cards to shut-ins, our card ministry in general. So I had to switch slides, and I apologize about that. But if not, I was going to have to re-record everything, and I'm sorry. So we will also then have a communication area, which is our historian, our Facebook, our website, and any promotion. So again, I don't think I get to finish all missions and service. I tried to pause it and I hit the wrong button. I apologize. Mission and service will have funeral dinners, funeral flowers, shut-ins, cards, mission giving, Boo Fest, Operation Christmas Child, community things, bazaar, and chicken bash. And we will expand on this. I am developing a kind of a weekly newsletter we're going to be doing for communication, and it'll have a lot of the stuff in it too. And please, please, please feel free to call me, call Pat, call Marcia, call Penny, and we'll talk through any of this stuff with you. So this slide tells you that our leadership board will replace our administrative council. It talks about our voting members on that board. So here's how it'll happen. So we will start out with something like either finance or trustees when we have those meetings. And they'll meet once a quarter. And so what will happen is the finance chair will call the finance meeting to order. And then all 9 members of the leadership board are voting members of finance. And then when that's done, we'll close the finance meeting. And then the trustees chair will call the trustees meeting to order. And then all 9 members of the trustees or of the leadership board become voting members of trustees. And then when that's done, we will close that meeting and call staff parish together. Now we do staff parish last because that's a closed meeting. So if people from the congregation come to the leadership board meetings, which we encourage, they could stay and be a part of finance and trustees, but they would have to leave before staff parish because staff parish is a closed meeting. So then call staff parish together, do all of the things that we need to do for staff parish, and then close that meeting, and we're done. Membership. At least 70% of the people that are on the leadership board have to be members of the congregation because the discipline requires that for staff parish and trustees. Also, the lay leader has to be one of those people on, and we decided to not have them separate, but to have them as a part of one of those 9 members. So you can do it either way. Every member of the leadership board again votes on all 3 committees listed, and the pastors sit on the leadership board. And as we start to work through this, it'll be one of the things that we work on in our bylaws, whether or not the pastors are voting members of that board. The role of the leadership team is to be the executive committee of the church, right? So what happens is that instead of the leadership team trying to do everything, they set policies and procedures. They set budgets. They say, okay, this is how you can spend your budget, right? You've got a $2,000 budget for the year. You can spend up to $400 of that each quarter, or $450 of that each quarter. Or you have $2,000 for the year and you can spend all of that as you see that you need to. But if you need more, you've got to come back and explain to us why you need more. And the pastor has to hold you accountable that your spending of your money is helping us live out the mission and the vision of the church, because we're going to hold the pastor accountable to that. So, for instance, Operation Christmas Child, right? We know that's something that helps us make disciples of Jesus Christ. We know that's a great mission. But the leadership team can say to the pastor, how is Operation Christmas Child helping us make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world? And so the pastor is accountable to the leadership team to say, well, this is what it does, and this is why it's so important, and this is why we're allocating X amount of funds towards it. So does that make sense? It becomes a way to increase accountability, increase the communication, and streamline our process. The leadership team also becomes an advisory committee to the appointed cabinet about the pastoral charge. So each September, the staff parish would typically sit down and say, okay, well, we want to keep our pastor, we want a new pastor, we want to up their time from part-time to full-time, we want to lower them from full-time to part-time, those type of things. So that would be now the role of the leadership team. And then they would also do all of the reviews that would normally happen by staff parish. They would also carry out all the functions that would normally happen from the trustees and carry out all the functions of the finance committee, as well as the administrative council as prescribed in the Book of Discipline. So that's their responsibility. The role of the pastors is to drive the vision and the mission of the church, to have direct supervision of all paid and non-paid staff members, to act as either a voting member of the leadership board or to act as an advisor to the leadership board, and to provide all the pastoral duties covered in the Book of Discipline. So there's a lot more accountability for the pastor in this structure, and a lot more responsibility. It is my job to make sure that we are living out the vision of the church and to live out the mission. It's not my job to tell you what the vision is, and that's great, because it is your church and it's up to you to say this is who we are, so that in this uncertain time with the United Methodist Church, with the possibility of split and things like that, that a pastor can't come in and say to you, oh, this is who we're going to be. You can say, no, this is who we are, and you're going to lead us this way. and that's your job, right? So it's a lot more accountability for the pastor, but it's a lot of accountability for the leadership team to direct the pastor, no, this is who we are and this is how we want you to lead us, which is good, very good. The ministry team, they report to the pastor, but we work together as a team. It's not like, hey, dropping the hammer or something crazy like that. Like this, we work together as a team. So together with the pastor, they're going to meet bi-monthly, and they are going to meet with their own areas as much as they need or as little as they need. The goal of the ministry team is to drive the mission and the vision of the church, right? So who are we? How do we live it out? What are we doing? How are we reaching out? Those type of things. One of the responsibilities of the ministry team is to set the calendar for the year and plan all mission activities. So again, as we look at our activities, our Facebook page, for instance, is that helping us? Is that helping us make better disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world? Is that helping us reach out? Is that helping us to live out our vision? So we're going to ask those questions. And if so, then how do we do it better? If not, how do we change it? Each leader that's listed on that team, so the leader of worship, the leader of faith development, the leader of hospitality, leader of missions and service and communication, will be responsible for their own allotted budget. They're leaders. We're not going to micromanage them. But we are going to ask them to report how their budget is helping us to live out the mission and the vision of the church. The pastor may ask a ministry team leader to attend a leadership meeting. So when we get close to Boo Fest, I may say, hey, I need a person from mission and service to go with me to the leadership team meeting to talk about what we're doing here and how that's helping us reach out to the community. They'll talk about that, but they won't have a vote. And members of the leadership board may attend any ministry team meeting that they want. However, they don't have a voice at that meeting. So there's no micromanagement here. This allows people to do ministry that they're passionate about, which is awesome. Why make this change? Well, I just said it allows people to get involved in ministry instead of just simply going to meetings. I don't know about you, but most people that I talk to, if I say, hey, what are you passionate about? And they say, I'm passionate about this. Okay, well, for the next 2 months, we want to do this in that area you're passionate about. Will you head that up? Like they're a lot more apt to say yes than if I say to them, will you serve on a committee that you really don't care about for the next 3 years? It allows us to give our best to God in a much better way. It facilitates communication, which is huge for where Trinity's at right now. It streamlines our process, and it very clearly allows us to articulate our vision and our beliefs. And that helps us to drive the mission and the vision of our church, and it gives us a better opportunity to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. I'm excited about this. I hope you're excited about it as well. We're committed to doing this for at least the next 18 months, and then we'll reevaluate it. But I'm excited and think it will be really, really good for us as we move into how we continue to grow and continue to be the church that God has called us to be in Rochester, Indiana. Thank you for being a part of it, and I appreciate all that you do.